I'm here today to share not just words but stories. Stories of ambition, resilience, and courage that drive us to break the barriers holding us back. Each one of us, in our lives and journeys, faces challenges. Some may seem small and others insurmountable, but I'm here to tell you that with the right mindset, determination, and innovation, no barrier is too great to overcome. Let's begin with a question I've often asked myself and one I want you to reflect on. What am I really trying to achieve? At the core of it, I am trying to achieve freedom. Freedom from doubt, fear, and stagnation. But freedom is not simply for me. It is for all of us. Whether you are striving to launch a business, climb a mountain, break a cycle of poverty, or challenge a societal norm, the journey starts with vision. Think about this. What does your big picture look like? Mine. I see a world where people no longer live constrained by the limits others have placed on them. I want to break barriers in mindset and in reality. Whether they are personal, professional, cultural, or systemic. Achieving big goals requires that we think beyond the immediate struggles. We must focus on a bigger, brighter future. One where growth, progress, and success are inevitable because we chose to keep moving forward. So today, I'm not just sharing my vision. I want to awaken yours. What does breaking your own barriers mean to you? Is it starting that dream business? Is it speaking up for change? Is it daring to fail in order to succeed? Whatever it is, let's build that big picture together. Now let me share with you what keeps me going. What drives me even when the odds seem stacked against me. Like many of you, I wasn't born with all the answers, all the resources, or even the confidence to believe I could achieve greatness. But I had stories. Stories of people who didn't just survive, but thrived. One of the stories that changed my life was that of Nelson Mandela. Mandela spent 27 years in prison. 27 years. But he emerged stronger, not defeated. Why? Because his why was bigger than the chains holding him back. He had a cause that burned brighter than his suffering. His story motivates me to ask myself, what am I willing to endure to make change happen? And now I turn to you. What motivates you? Is it your family? Is it your dream to create something that outlives you? Is it the chance to prove to yourself that you are capable of achieving more than you ever imagined? Your why is your power. It fuels you when the going gets tough, and trust me, it will get tough. So, identify it, embrace it, and let it push you to tear down the walls in your way. Here's the truth. Breaking barriers isn't easy. If it were, everyone would be doing it. The barriers we face are as real as they are intimidating. The barrier of fear. The fear of failure, judgment, and rejection stops many of us before we even begin. Fear paralyzes us. But I challenge you to reframe failure. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of success. Each time you fail, you're learning, growing, and getting closer to the breakthrough you seek. The barrier of circumstances. Maybe you didn't grow up with wealth. Maybe you're fighting systems that have oppressed people like you for generations. Maybe the resources aren't there yet. These circumstances are tough, but they are not permanent. What matters is how we respond. The barrier of ourselves. Sometimes the biggest barrier is the one in our minds. Self-doubt can whisper, "You're not enough." I say to you today, challenge those voices. Rewrite that narrative. You are stronger, smarter, and more capable than you know. We must face these conflicts head-on because once we do, they lose their power over us. I know what you're thinking. This sounds inspiring, but what if I fail? What if it doesn't work? That's a fair question. Risk is real, and progress comes with uncertainty. But let me reassure you, all great breakthroughs come with risk. Imagine Thomas Edison, who failed 1,000 times before he perfected the light bulb. Or entrepreneurs who faced rejection but dared to keep pitching. Their risk turned into reward because they didn't quit. Taking risks doesn't mean acting recklessly. It means trusting in your preparation, your passion, and your ability to adapt. If we never take the leap, we'll never know how far we could have flown. Let me be honest with you, there's no easy road to breaking barriers. It's going to require long hours of hard work when others are sleeping, failure and frustration when progress feels too slow, the courage to stand alone when others doubt you. But here's the good news. The journey is worth it. Every small step forward brings you closer to the big picture. Every setback will become part of the story you tell about how you overcame it. And remember, you're not alone. Look around this room. We are all in this together, pushing toward dreams that demand everything from us but promise to give us even more. So I leave you with this challenge. What barrier will you break? Will you start now? Will you refuse to let fear, circumstances, or self-doubt hold you back? Breaking barriers isn't just about changing your own life. It's about inspiring others to believe they can change theirs too. When you move forward, you give others permission to do the same together. Let's take that first step. Let's create stories of triumph that will be remembered for generations. Every human journey is defined by barriers, obstacles that stand between where we are now and where we want to be. Some barriers are external: poverty, lack of opportunity, or societal expectations. Others are internal: fear, self-doubt, or limiting beliefs. Yet, history teaches us that barriers, no matter how powerful they appear, are not immovable. They can be broken. The question I ask myself, and challenge you to consider, is, what barrier will you break? For me, the barrier I aim to break is the barrier of self-limitation. This barrier is one that often goes unnoticed because it exists in the mind, quietly holding us back. It is the voice that whispers, "You can't do this. You're not good enough. Why even try?" It's a mindset that settles for less, that avoids risk, and that sees failure as a permanent defeat rather than a stepping stone toward success. I believe breaking this internal barrier is the first step toward any significant achievement in life. Self-limitation often begins with fear. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, or fear of the unknown. This fear feeds into negative thoughts, convincing us that our dreams are too ambitious or that others are more deserving of success. For example, how many times have we held back from pursuing an opportunity because we assumed we weren't capable? How often have we silenced our ideas in a meeting, convinced they weren't good enough? These small decisions accumulate, creating invisible walls around our potential. We build these barriers unconsciously, based on past failures, harsh criticism, or comparisons to others. Over time, they become a comfort zone, a place where we feel safe but stagnant. To break this barrier, we must first recognize it for what it is: a false narrative we've adopted. I've often found myself battling this very mindset. There were times when I avoided challenges simply because I was afraid to fail. I chose comfort over growth. But I realized that in doing so, I was placing limits on my abilities, my dreams, and my impact. I knew that if I didn't break the barrier of self-limitation, I would never discover what I was truly capable of achieving. When we allow self-limiting beliefs to control us, we miss opportunities to grow, create, and contribute. Breaking the barrier of self-limitation doesn't just change our lives. It inspires others to do the same. Imagine what the world would look like if great leaders, thinkers, and innovators had let their fears hold them back. Take Thomas Edison, for example. When working on the invention of the light bulb, he failed thousands of times. If he had allowed fear and self-doubt to convince him that success was impossible, the world might still be in darkness. Edison famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." His perseverance broke the barrier of limitation, not only for himself but for humanity. On a personal level, breaking barriers allows us to unlock our true potential. It gives us the freedom to dream bigger, work harder, and make a meaningful impact. When we push past the boundaries of what we thought was possible, we discover strengths we never knew we had. Breaking this barrier is not an overnight process. It requires intention, courage, and persistence. I have developed 3 key strategies to challenge self-limitation in my life. Embracing failure as growth. Failure is often seen as something to avoid at all costs. But I've learned that failure is not the end. It's a lesson. Every time I fail, I gain valuable insights that bring me closer to success. By embracing failure as an opportunity to grow, I no longer fear it. Instead, I welcome it as a necessary part of the journey. Changing my inner dialogue. The way we speak to ourselves matters. When self-doubt creeps in, I challenge those negative thoughts with empowering affirmations. I am capable. I am strong. I will succeed. I remind myself of past victories, times when I overcame challenges and proved myself wrong. This helps me silence the voice of self-limitation and replace it with one of confidence and possibility. Taking action despite fear. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's acting in spite of it. I've made a commitment to take bold steps even when fear is present. Whether it's speaking up, pursuing a new opportunity, or starting something unfamiliar, I know that taking action is the only way to dismantle the barrier of self-limitation. Breaking my own barriers is not just about personal success. It's about inspiring others to do the same. When we push beyond our limits, we become a source of motivation for those around us. Our actions send a powerful message. If I can do it, so can you. Think about the ripple effect that breaking barriers can create. A teacher who overcomes self-doubt can inspire students to believe in their own potential. A parent who pushes past limitations can model resilience for their children. A young entrepreneur who breaks barriers in their community can inspire others to pursue their dreams. By breaking the barrier of self-limitation, I hope to contribute to a culture of courage, growth, and possibility. One where people are not defined by their fears but empowered by their dreams. Every time someone breaks a barrier, whether big or small, it creates a ripple effect that extends far beyond the individual. Barriers are obstacles that stand in the way of growth, progress, or achievement, and overcoming them not only transforms the life of the person breaking the barrier but also inspires and empowers those around them. Like a stone dropped into a still pond, breaking barriers causes ripples that touch countless lives, creating waves of change that spread outward in ways we might not immediately see. The ripple effect of breaking barriers can be seen throughout history, from great movements that changed societies to personal victories that inspired communities. These ripples remind us that breaking a barrier is never an isolated act. It sets an example, challenges norms, and paves the way for others to do the same. Throughout history, individuals who broke barriers created ripples that changed the world. Rosa Parks refusing to give up her bus seat in Montgomery, Alabama, broke a barrier of systemic racial segregation. Her simple but courageous act sparked the Montgomery bus boycott, a turning point in the American civil rights movement. The ripple effect of her decision inspired countless others to stand against injustice, paving the way for societal change. Similarly, when women like Marie Curie pursued education and scientific research in a male-dominated field, they shattered barriers that had kept women out of academic and scientific spaces for centuries. Her achievements as the first woman to win a Nobel Prize inspired generations of women to pursue careers in science and technology, proving that gender should never be a limitation. The ripple effect in these cases did not stop with a single event or achievement. Instead, it grew into movements, opportunities, and shifts in societal mindsets that transcended time and geography. Rosa Parks and Marie Curie may have started their journeys with personal decisions to challenge barriers, but their actions created ripples that empowered millions. While history celebrates grand, world-changing barriers being broken, personal barriers hold just as much significance. Breaking personal barriers, like overcoming self-doubt, fear of failure, or societal expectations, can create ripples that inspire others in profound ways. Consider an individual who overcomes crippling anxiety to deliver their first public speech. The courage they display creates a ripple effect. Their family and friends witness their growth and realize that change is possible, even in the face of fear. Another person in the audience, battling similar fears, might be inspired to step out of their comfort zone. The person who breaks the barrier doesn't just win a personal victory, they become a role model for others to follow. These small but meaningful ripples can spread through families, communities, and workplaces.